Hey guys, welcome to another one of our videos. I'm the Worm, this is the Proton, and we've left autofocus on.
Bad Worm.
Today we are going to be reviewing the Beautiful Dream.
Beautiful Dream. It's a dream rebuildable atomizer, but it's called the Beautiful Dream in certain places, or the BT 304, I want to say.
Something like that.
Check that for us just quickly because I don't want to get it wrong.
Yeah, he does.
I don't.
BT 804.
804. I was only one digit out. Sorry. The Dream BT 804. Basically, it is a K-Fun
clone.
We're not going to say rip off. We're going to say clone. Which is a good thing for us, not so much for the K-Fun. We should point out we've got this free of charge from Charlie's Vape Shop.co.uk. As you guys watch us regularly, you know we do rep Charlie quite hard anyway. So hello Charlie.
Hi Charlie.
But yeah, we've got it free, but it ain't going to affect what we say about this. And I imagine there's definitely going to be a follow up to this because it's quite a complicated little setup.
Yeah, but that's the box it comes in. It's quite a nice little box.
You want to show the peoples? Open it.
I'm not going to open it now. We're going to go down into close up and we're going to show you there.
We're going to do a close up. Okay, right, fair enough. Right, we'll go into an unboxing close up and show you exactly what we get in there then. And we will, well, you'll see it in a sec.
Hey guys, right, this is the Beautiful Dream Rebuildable Atomizer. If I can get it out of the box. There we go. So it comes in a nice little presentation bit of foam. You do get 5 pre-coiled wicks there with non-resistance and resistance wire. I don't know if you can see it in here, but can you focus on a bit there? It's a bit shiny. If you can see there, you've got 2 extra pins that will go inside when you actually coil them. But we'll show you that in a second. Back in here. And so we have the Dream, which it does say down the bottom there. Get out the wrapper, it's easier without all the shine and that. That's one side, and get rid of that. And yeah, we have Dream on the actual plastic tank.
Assuming that's polycarbonate, guys, and not polypropylene, just generally because, as we said before, if it doesn't state it's polypropylene, it's usually polycarbonate. So beware of some of them juices in that one, guys.
Yep, so right, a little drip tip. Take off the top. And it's got a little O-ring in there to actually, you see that little red bit there? To actually connect to your actual top housing there. And you've got your tank, which will just slip off. And then down here we do have the inner body, which funnels up your vapor, obviously, and your coil. I mean, can we get a good picture on this for once?
He now wants my focus skills.
Look at that. You can actually see our coil for once, but that's your coil. There is non-resistance wire going to these 2 pins. These are the pins you get spare in the packet. I haven't taken this off because this does come pre-coiled with 1 coil already in it and 5 spare.
This is the standard coil, and as you can see, one of them coils is incredibly loose. Always check the coil that comes in it first, guys. I think we might rewrap this or maybe just tweak it a little bit for it to work suitably. You're off camera, mate.
Oh,
there we go.
But basically, if you can see there, that pin, the non-resistance wire goes into that pin, and the pin is literally just pushed down to hold it in place.
And the wire resistance obviously keep it there.
There we go. So, but that is your coil inside. The wick does fall into these 2 little notches in the actual screw fit in there, which is where the actual juice actually wicks off up from inside the tank. But you just place them in there.
Give them a push.
A little push, and then your top goes back on. Oh, it fell out, but it's all good. But you've got 2 little notches there on the outside where you can actually still see, and that's where the juice feeds in to see the little bit of silica there and feeds up to your coil. Underneath here we have got another little bit, which is just basically a spring that fits to the base of here, which basically puts your positive up into there.
You can see where the spring's going to touch. Why a spring? I don't know. Maybe for cleaning. Not for the spring, I mean in general this bottom cap, as to why it's not permanently fixed, we're not entirely sure, but not unhappy with that setup, to be honest with you. It makes cleaning it very nice. Yes, it's more parts to clean, but they will be properly clean.
You can get right in there, guys. So there you go, that's the bottom back on, top's back on, your up body back on, to obviously fill your juice into. Your top goes back on, not that way. obviously the little red O-ring. Just give it a nice little snug fit, but don't just force it on there because you can damage your O-ring there. And that screws back on. Dripped it back in. Obviously, make sure you put juice in first, and then you're pretty much ready to go, we think. I'm just going to check the image on this before we go, just to make sure that bottom screen is the bottom spring is back into place. Is this on?
Any rebuildable guys, you should have the facility realistically to check
You can't
your
see that.
ohms.
It's a 2.5 ohm core anyway, guys. You have to take my word for that. But that's your dream all put back together. We will show you recoiling at a later date, but for now, out of the box, it's ready to go. Let's give it a go.
Right, coming up to us, guys.
Welcome back up, guys. You may notice that we've changed t-shirt.
Costume change!
It's been about a week.
It has been about a week.
We had some issues when we brought it back up. We filled it and tested it, and the core that was already in there didn't work so great. In fact, we was getting dry hits a lot.
Yeah.
Mr. Proton, then after I kind of threw it down to one side. I didn't throw it down, so I put it down to one side. I was like,
Did you re-wick it?
No, you re-wicked it.
No, the first time. Did you not try and re-wick it?
No.
Oh, okay.
Mr. Proton, about half hour later after getting burnt hits, said, give it here, I'm going to give it a crack. Went in to give it a crack. He used an extra...
I did that with the wick, so
Yeah.
basically horseshoe and then one again, so one was coming off either side.
I mean, you got like 2 extra bits coming up the tank, which should just hold a bit more juice. So, yeah.
We will do a re-wick on camera for you at a later date. Like I say, it's been about a week now, or like Worms has been about a week now, and this has been run on that same course since then.
Yes.
We're
just going to show you a trick for filling this thing, because there is a slight trick to this.
knack to it.
We don't know why this works better, but it just does. So I'm going to give Mr. Proton the mouse, and we're going to go to a bit of a close up here. Sorry guys if you see my ginger beard, but
Ginger minge.
right.
Oh, move. Oh, hold on. Sorry guys. There you go.
There you go. Right. Basically, you fill it up as normal, just down the side.
They recommend about 1 to 1.5 ml of juice. I'm guessing that depends on how far you want to push that up the tank. So obviously at the top's where you're going to hold more than anything.
But this is the trick. You basically get this on, and you want to do like basically a half a turn into the screw, like that. So, and then you want to turn it upside down. Trust me, this doesn't leak. You want to make sure that juice is
all the way down to
all the way down. You have to kind of give it a little bit of helping hand, because that is quite tight in there with the metal and the side of the actual tube. And then after then, just finish off screwing it right down. And we assume this just gives it a better vacuum to pull the juice through, and that's it. You're good to go. So
I mean, we watched Todd do this, and after I re-wicked, I kind of like might as well try it, give it a go.
Go back in close again.
Oh my dear God!
I just want to point this out
Right.
while we're in it. Screwing this onto my Vamo, the 510 is a little bit shaky,
Wobbly.
but when you do get it on, let's see, still a little bit give and take. But once you get that fairly straight, screwed in, it all tightens up and it's on there straight. So just bear that in mind.
Yeah, we did watch Todd do that refill trick, and it said it worked. He said it worked, so we tried it, and we weren't sure whether it was my wicking or that, or combination of both that made it work. But either way, that's what we've been doing every time we fill it, just to make sure. It has been used quite a bit. There's been a lot of tanks run through that just to make sure it's all working.
Yeah,
still working well. Quick update on a few little things, bits and bobs we said in the video. The bit with the spring, the positive, wasn't sure why they did it like that. Now, guessing, if you have a look inside, the air hole's flush with the body. I'm guessing that's for overwicking. If it overwicks, it's a pull to collect some of that juice. Obviously a very good thing, and it's nice and easy to clean.
That air hole is quite high up on that. It's just below where my finger is.
Probably talking a good 15 drops in there before it starts to leak out that air hole, unless you're tipping it sideways, in which case if 15 drops have made their way down there, then you've definitely got an overwicking problem.
Yeah.
Something else to point out as well, whilst we did wick, or I wicked it, I cut one of the wicks slightly shorter, semi-purposely, and the other one was a bit longer than I anticipated, basically so that they're not tucking out the bottom of it, they're just sort of touching where the bottom meets once it's all screwed in. That liquid seems to pour in there a bit better and gets pulled up a little bit better, so it's just worth pointing
it basically allows a little pour at the bottom of that notch, just for the wick to actually start.
Just seems to wick quite well. A combination of those three things that we've just gone through, the fact that we wicked it ourselves, the tips upside down, and that seems to make this thing work really, really well.
We'll give this a bit of vape now, yeah?
Yeah, you have a little vape and I'll have a little flap. I was going to say something, I can't actually remember what it was. Oh yes, I do. Sorry, the 5 coils and the one that came in it, I mean, I wrapped that, and it's 2.5 ohms. Worms just measured it for us. That's basically what the coils that are in it come as. So did quite a good job there, I think. It was 5 wraps around a 3-bit of silica, 2mm bit, so 3 pieces of 2mm. Basically, the coils that come in it, you see it yourself in the video, very slack. My advice when buying anything, if it comes with a coil in it, whip that out, save it for an emergency if you have to. Get your own Wicking coil in there, it's going to work better for you. I'm not saying that everything that comes pre-coiled is rubbish. All of it, obviously, heads and stuff are pretty good. Your Baron cups are pretty good, and I don't doubt the naughty and all that kind of stuff.
But generally, with rebuildables, it's better to use your own wick than it is to go with.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with giving it a go. I mean, we gave it a go, but the problem with that is just, now we've got to empty juice and clean everything out before we can re-wick it. It's a bit of a pain in the bum. Personally, just whip it out and whack one in if you're going to buy this in particular. Them a few little tips should get you going on a good steed anyway. I can't remember what I was going to say. Yeah, I really can't. Like I would say, it has had a good few takes for it now. That coil doesn't seem to have suffered at all. It has been abused a bit. It doesn't seem to suffer. It's not like a dripper where your coil seems to clog up after a few days and you have to change. There's still no feeling that this needs to be changed yet, so that's very good, obviously.
The draw on this, I wouldn't say it's tight, but it's definitely not loose. It's a little bit tighter than normal. It's probably closer to the Nova than it is a dripper. So just be aware that it's a slightly tighter draw than like your normal drippers.
It's quite a nice
rebuildables.
tight, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a nice tight. It's a comfortable tight. You know, I'd say it's on about 5. So it's about midway. You know, so yeah, that's it for the draw. But the flavour of it is very close to a dripper. I mean, we are talking
incredibly
exceptionally close. So yeah, it's probably just off like your A7s, just.
Do you think?
Yeah.
So I've actually tasted this juice quite a bit in an A7. I'm getting more flavour from this.
Oh, are you?
Yeah, I'd say, to be honest with you, this is closer to the Baron than it is the A7. On the juice, it's similar. Flavour of this thing is very, very good. In fact, like I say, we said in the video, we're probably going to do a follow-up. This is kind of merged the two together through having to, as well as a bit of choice, because we thought, well,
we did message Charlie about it, and he said like give it a week because it has got a few like. It's got personality to it, so you just got to work around its personality to the device and get it working right. I mean, the new Wick seems to sort it out with turning it upside down when you're actually screwing it in. So,
I think the thing to bear in mind with this kind of product, the Dream, and other ones that are imitating a lot more expensive rebuildables, clone of it basically. This is a hell of a lot cheaper than a K-Fun is. It's going to be more work. There's a reason it's cheaper. The build quality may not be quite as good. I mean, I think the build quality is just fine. But
it is
the build quality may not. I mean, if you hold a K-Fun, I'm sure you'd go, that's built better. All right, it's just easy. It's going to be worth more money. But you're going to have to put a bit of work in to get the result. It's a clone, yes, and in reality, the vape experience should be very, very close. But you're going to have to work more for it. It's just how it is.
It's how all rebuildables are.
Yeah, but I mean, it's particularly ones that are actually cloning stuff, something. Yeah.
But yeah. Now we've got it re-wicked with our own wick and that. It's wicking fine, having no issues with that, no dry hits at all. Even when the tank was completely gone, there was still enough juice in that to me to vape it for 5 minutes before I realised, oh, the tank's empty and I've got to refill it. And then as soon as you fill up that juice, because we did change the flavour at one point, literally I put the juice in and it had already wicked up by the time I got to like screwing it up and putting it back in and vaping it. The juice flavour was already in it, and very mild obviously because it's still got the other flavour on there, but it is wicking like an animal. Once you get this wick right, you have got no problems.
No, I think with the way that we set this up as well, so the wicks are just very, very slightly in more than the standard ones are. So literally take a mil at most off of it, just gives it a little pooling area. There's a little thing you can do where you give it a couple of dry pulls and there's actually air bubbles that come up the side. So if you were struggling, just
I was going to say about that as well. We actually sat there and just see how much we could dry pull it before it flooded. We couldn't.
Literally part of the tank for the bloody thing.
It still did not flood. So again, a plus for the device.
I think part of that's down to how much wick you're going to put in there.
Yeah.
There is a fair bit of wick in there. It's not loads and loads and loads. When we come to re-wick this, we'll actually leave this wick in to show you exactly what's in there.
Yeah.
But I mean, obviously, it's got to fit inside that metal body, so it's not loads and loads of wick, and there's no struggle to put that on. So it just kind of shows there's not millions.
But we did get to a point as well where we was pulling it, and there was no air bubbles coming up because it had enough juice in there.
Yeah.
So again, it kind of prevents itself from overflooding. So if you are overflooding for whatever reason, you've still got that container at the bottom, which is going to catch it, and it shouldn't be everywhere.
It's very true. It's very true. Should we get onto the little 5 hit list for this?
Yeah, let's go on to the 5 hit
Let's
list.
go on to the 5 hit list. First is looks. I'm going to let Worm shoot first on this.
Right, first on this. I think it looks wicked. I really do. I think I actually do love the look of this. I do prefer the clearer tanks, but the fact that it's got a bit of metal in there doesn't really bother me at all for the actual coil system in there. But I think it looks really good. I think you could be doing with a little bit of a smaller drip tip on there. But other than that, you can put your own drip tip in there. Done job. 9.5 for me for looks.
For me, it's kind of like a no, but it's been elongated at the top and bottom. I'm not a massive fan of this nipple at the top there. I'm not going to lie. And the clear tank doesn't bother me too much, to be honest with you. It'd be nice if it's propylene as opposed to polycarbonate. It's not stated as polycarbonate, but as we said before, we reckon it's polycarbonate. With this drip tip, for me, it's a 7. But I've got a shorty off of the A7. Personally, you stick that on it, I think that looks much, much better. That's an 8.5. So again, it comes down to drip tip, but I'm not a big fan of these black drip tips.
It also comes down to personal preference on what you like as well. So,
but with that on it, I think it's much, much better.
Usability. Usability. It's not hard. It really isn't. I mean, if you're used to coiling, I know it comes under maintenance as well, but it is slightly different where the pins you have to pull out and push in instead of a screw device. Possibility of losing. You do get spares, and you can buy spares. So, but the actual usability, except for the actual filling bit where you got to turn it upside down, and it's not really that hard to use. You know, it's really nice. Because I think most of it comes under maintenance and when it's kind of like recoiling, but it is slightly a bit of usability when like you do get into reworking it. Does kind of come under both sort of thing. But for actually just using the device and filling it up, it's not overly hard. You just got to turn the tank upside down when you screw it in just to help with that vacuum. So 7.5, maybe an 8, depending on how much you use it and you are used to like these sort of devices.
Usability for me, I'm going to disagree with them a little bit. I think there's a bit of puppy love going on over here. Usability for me, compare that to something like an iGo or a Zeus or an A7, which we give very high marks to for what they are. This is a lot more complicated than that is. It just is. There is.
But they're drippers, that's not.
It's not, no, but we're talking about usability across the board. Usability as a single device, no, it's not stupidly hard, but compared to a lot of devices out there, it's a lot harder. Alright, you've got to cut your wicks to the right length, you've got to make sure it all fits in the body. Re-wicking can be a bit of a pain in the arse, then posts aren't the best system to hold that in. I don't think I'd prefer screws, just because one of them sits higher than the other one, and it doesn't feel like it's in there enough for me. It feels like you should have give it a little bit more, and it just doesn't. It's fine, it makes the connection just fine, it feels like it should be a bit more. Lining up your wicks as you screw it on, filling the tank, upside down, la 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 la. It's getting a 6 from me for usability. I don't think it is easy to use. It's definitely not a novice device, and to be honest with you, I'd say even if you're sort of intermediate, I wouldn't go straight for this. I don't think it is stupidly easy to use. It's not stupidly hard, but we know a lot more than a lot of people who have been based with this amount of time. Yeah, it's definitely not the hardest. I mean, these come with non-resistance wire. We haven't used non-resistance wire, we've just used Canthol. I can see absolutely no reason why you'd need that 5mm of non-resistance wire either side, to be honest with you. It hasn't caused any hotspotting issues for us, and so on and so forth. It's what they use, but then the coils that were with it aren't very good anyway, so
bear that in mind.
Bear that in mind, always use your own realistically, I'd say. Usability for me, yeah, it's not getting super high marks. It's not bad for what it is. Compared to like the K-Fun, which is what it's a clone of, it's pretty much the same, I want to say. But as an all-round device, they're a hell of a lot easier. They are harder, but they're definitely easier than this. That's where I am with usability.
Maintenance. The recoiling on this is a little bit more difficult because you've got those very small pins to put your wire into. It is a lot more fiddly because you've got to have it raised off that centre post, so the wire is basically holding that wick up, essentially. It is a little bit more tweaking, especially like with cutting your wick length right, but easy way around that, cut it slightly too long, chop it off when you get it in the device. So it's not overly hard on that sort of time, but you are going to be potentially wasting a little bit of wick every time. But it's not so much. You probably waste wick on recoiling something wrong anyway. So again, bear that in mind. But cleaning, it all comes apart. It's very easy to reassemble. It's not very hard that way.
It's not near as hard as the Argar or anything like that.
There's minimal pieces. There was only those 2 pins. And to be fair, I mean, just take them out before you wash it and just damp them in a bit of towel with a little bit, like a bit of moist towel or something. Done job. Yeah, maintenance of this. I think we should give it 2 marks, shouldn't we? Like compared to like other rebuildable devices and on its own. I think on its own, in its like own little section, it's probably about a 7 for maintenance. Compared to other rebuildables, it probably knocks it up a little bit because it is a lot easier than like your Argas and stuff like that. So maybe an 8, 8.5 compared to others.
Okay, I do want to do 2 hits on this, or not 2. I want to do a hit and I want to mention something. Maintenance for me, I'm going to go straight in with a 7.
Yeah.
Maintaining it, as well as said, cleaning it's not difficult. The O-rings are nice and solid. Putting it back together is very easy. If you take it apart, you can put it back together. Put it that way. There aren't that many parts, and it's quite obvious where they go. Filling it up and all that kind of stuff. Maintaining the general vapour of it is not too difficult. It's just doing that and turning it on, which could be a pain in the bum on the fly or whatever else. But I do want to say we can go through quite a lot of liquid in this quite quickly. But they do the extended version, which holds like another 2 ml, or up to 2 ml. And that then will last you.
As well,
you can choose it in the options. I think it actually costs you. You can buy it separately. So if you bought this and you want the extended version, you can buy that extended kit for I think it's about £6. But you can also choose it with it. Now I think it'll cost you about £4 more. Sorry, with the prices. Haven't actually got the website open. Sorry, Charlie. We mentioned this with Charlie's Vapors, didn't we? Oh, it's yeah. Whoops. But basically, so I'm going to give it a 7 for maintenance. But I do want to stress this, and I do want to point this out as well. Unlike the drippers, which we give sort of like 9s and 10s for maintenance for us anyway, these marks are for us, but we're trying to sort of the entire ballpark for everyone. Unlike the drippers and my A7 that's been relit 3 times in the last 4 days, this coil's been here in a week. Okay, so I think this is worth bearing in mind is that if your coils are lasting you, this is a week, it feels like it's got another week in it. If it is a 7 on maintenance, but you've only got to do it once a fortnight, that kind of makes it well worthwhile. It makes it actually a very good maintenance mark. The coil, the device is only ever going to be as good as your coil you install into it, so make sure that you're getting it right. Spend 5 minutes making sure everything's as should be, but then realistically, unless you want to clean it, change juices, or whatever else you want to do to it, the coil should last you a very decent amount of time. It's worth just bearing in mind, I think, for maintenance. Flavour and vapour.
Flavour and vapour, I mean, to be honest, on this flavour, I haven't really tried it in A7, so I'm just taking off other flavours that I've tried in an A7, and I think it's on par with them, maybe slightly less. But then again, I haven't tried this flavour in an A7, so. But the flavour is really good. It's dripper standard flavour from a tank. What can you ask for more? Really, I mean, it's banging. Vapour off it, it's just, well, it's going to depend on your juice slightly. Obviously, if you're using more of a VG, you're going to get slightly more vapour. But the vapour off this is still quite a massive amount. You know, it's on par with the drippers again. So yeah, they've got to be 9s. They've got to be 9s, easy. Like an easy 9. We're talking like it could be pushing 9.5 depending on what you got in there. So
flavour for me, I have tried this in a dripper. It's slightly subtler, but there seems to be more of it at the same time. And I know it makes absolutely no sense. The punch it delivers isn't as much, but it delivers that flavour across the board. Whereas it in the dripper, it's kind of this juice is bang bang. I'm going to give this a 9.5 for flavour. I think it's actually a very, very good performing device. As William said, dripper standard. This is rival to sort of almost rival to your Zeus Baron standards. In terms of vapour, I actually think it's better than the Zeus and the A7. I do. I think it just. I know on camera it's hard to tell. A lot of devices look similar, but in here, if you're here, that vapour does look a lot. And we should point out that this is a 70-30 PGBG homemade. But again, I've used this in an A7. The vapour wasn't as good of it in that. So this is getting a flat out 10 for vapour. No question about that at all.
there you go.
Overall.
Yeah, I know.
Shall I go overall whilst you have a think? Because I'm ready.
Go on then.
I was born ready. My overall for this, 2 directions I'm going to go for this. My overall in general, 8.5. Just because of ups and downs, it has a little bit of tweak and so everything else. I think that's worth mentioning. I think overall 8.5. Overall for the price, it's 20 quid. 9.5, nearly 10. It's it's very, very good performing. Like we've said, it's basically on par with your drippers, but you've got the tanks. You haven't got to worry about the dripping. The only thing you have to worry about realistically when using this kind of tank system is a dry hit now and again. And with this, you just dry put it a couple of times, and that solves that. That to me, I mean, it's like dry hit, pull, and it's again. And a lot of people pick that up and go, it's a really bad thing, la 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 la. Fair enough, but bear in mind, compared to a dripper, which is what we're saying this flavour and vapour is. Well, when I've got a dry hit on a dripper, I've got to pull my drip tip out or very narrowly drip down it. Make sure I haven't flooded it because I don't usually pay much attention. Whirl it around if I have. Vape a flooded dripper for a couple of minutes, then get the good vape for 2 minutes, and then I've got to drip it again. So for that alone, I think this deserves a 9.5/10. That's kind of where I'm sitting for the price. It's a very, very good performing piece of kit. We did read a lot of reviews on this as well, so I know you're about to go, but we did read a lot of reviews on this as well. A lot of people saying, oh, it's not this good, it's not that good, blah, 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 blah. Because they probably tried it with the standard coil, expected it to work out the box, and it hasn't done. Stuff like this doesn't work out the box. It's just not how it works with the world of rebuildables. It just isn't. You have to put work in, but when you do get results.
Right, okay. I want to do 3 because out of the box, it really didn't. It didn't perform. It dry hit all over the place, and it just weren't what I was expecting. So out of the box, with the pre-coil in there, it was like a 5. It really was. Now we put our own coil in there. I agree. It's like an 8.5 overall. For its price, it's a 10. It just is a 10. You're getting the flavour and vapour from a dripper in a tank system. Okay, it's only holding 1.1 to 1.5 mil, but you can get the extender, so you can hold another like 2.5 mil in there total.
Well, everything between 3 and 3.5, and I think it's 1 and 1.5 standard, so you get about 2 more capacity.
But thereabouts, so you get a massive of the tank form with the flavour and vapour of a dripper for 20 quid.
I mean,
25 quid if you want to get the extended tab on there, or 26, whatever it is.
I think
it's a 10.
That is well. I mean, yeah, the price. I mean, 25, 26 quid. People go, that's a little bit more money than I want to pay. Fair enough, but you know, it's going to cost you 10 to 15 quid depending on where you buy them from. Your V3s are about 7 or 8 quid.
C5s.
I know the C5s. I know these are in a different category, but then you move on to stuff like your, I don't know, even your Igo Ls are like 11, 12 quid. This is more complicated than them. It's still nowhere near an Igo. It's still using silica wick. I'm sure somehow we could merge that to have some steel rope in there.
We could.
I think because it's got a gradual bend, I think we could get steel rope and a bit of steel mesh in there. Maybe when it gets re-wicked. It's definitely worth thinking about this device if you want to move off of something like your IGOLs and stuff. I'm still not going to recommend this for someone who's on clearamizers or cartomizers and even carto tanks.
To be honest,
you need to be
rebuildables. If you're coming off cartomizers and that and clearamizers, yeah, go small. Go
something like a very simple dripper, something like the IGO L, IGO F is coming.
But if you are looking at a tank rebuildable, definitely one to go for. This is so much easier than the Genesis style tanks to re-wick and fiddle with.
They can perform better than Jenny's, but they're a lot more work than this.
This, for what it took for him to re-wick it,
was just
5 minutes.
Yeah,
total.
5 minutes.
And that includes like cutting all the wires and the wick and that and getting it in there. 5 minutes total, and it was done.
It wasn't even like, to be honest with you, I paid much attention because the old core comes straight out. I wasn't really looking. I was saying, is this, that, and the other? And one was like, I guess so. Stuck it in there, it kind of worked. And after having done it, unlike stuff with your Jenny tanks, even the RSST, that's probably the easiest Jenny tank we've used. I still, when I start to re-wick that, I think, oh, I hope this goes well. I, with that, don't think I'll be like that. I think I could pick it up and have quite a high confidence that I'm going to be able to do exactly what I've done in there again and again and again and again and again. Kind of almost like re-wicking an overhead. I just pick it up and I think it's just going to be able to work every time I do it, which I think is obviously a very good point. It's a very, very good tank. It is.
It's a banging little tank.
I know there are a lot of reviews out there, and a lot of them have said, oh, it's not that good, la 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 la. When you get it working well, it is very good. It's a little bit more work, and these people maybe haven't been willing to put that work in.
Use your own wick.
Own wick and coil is what we recommend. The other ones will be fine for a backup. I mean, to be honest, I don't think the other ones will be fine to use. I would just tinker with them a bit.
Yeah,
move
don't just
them coils around a bit.
straight in.
No.
Have a little play with it. Maybe saturate or pre-saturate the wicks as well, and give it a little pull on that before you actually fill the actual tank system up.
We did, before, I do want to point out, before we did the first part of this video, we looked at the coil. We both said it's not up to standard, it's not going to perform that well, but we wanted to do it out of the box because we think a lot of people are going to, I mean, people who are quite experienced with rebuildables will go, no, I probably won't ever use a pre-coiled wick. But some will buy this and go, yep, that looks fine, it's come ready to use. They do, but not really at the same time. Always stick your own coil and wicking, this kind of thing is my advice. Charlie himself said it took him about a week to get his head around this and get it working beautifully. On the first night, we kind of re-wicked it. It's been working lovely ever since. So other videos on YouTube, videos have been helpful for us to do that. We watched a few and we thought, bang, let's do it. We are going to do a re-wick for you. We are going to make sure that we show you what we did to get it to work. It's not always going to work for everyone else, but we'll show you what we did, definitely. I think we've kind of come to a close, haven't we? But
yeah, we will say thank you to Charlie again for sending this through.
Which I better go, but we just want to say a quick thank you. Whatever.
Thank you very much, Charlie, for sending this through. Don't forget to check out Charlie's website, charliesvalueshop.co.uk. Lots of stuff on there, all reasonably priced.
We have, let's be honest, I mean,
we've ordered from a couple of times. So.
Yeah, we've ordered from ourselves before we got anything free from them. We always say it's not going to affect our review. It doesn't. If you go back and watch our other videos, we've recommended Charlie's Vape Shop quite a lot. And that was long before he sent us anything down to review. But we are very grateful that Charlie took the time to do that, have a chat with us over the emails, so on and so forth. So yeah, just go and check out Charlie's Vape Shop. I know a lot of our regular subs have already bought off him because we recommended him long before this, but it's worth mentioning. We'll put the website up there somewhere, unless you're on mobile device, you won't see it. But we'll link it down there as well. We'll link our Facebook and Twitter down there.
Will.
Maybe, oh, maybe you will.
Maybe you will.
Sony Vegas, here we come. Yeah, maybe you will. But yeah, we'll link our Facebook and Twitter down there. Feel free to come and follow us, have a little chin web. We do have a lot of discussions going on Facebook at the minute. Everyone seems to get involved. It's quite a laugh. So feel free to come and join on there if you want to. I think that's it.
Yep, we are done.
This has been the dream. I have got the mouse. Right, guys. Thank you very much for watching. I've been Mr. Proton. This has been the Worm. We'll catch you soon.
Catch you soon, guys.
See you later.